this is Gary007 and welcome to Avorion Build Guide Part 2 for beginners. So there's a few things I wanted to cover in this video really quickly, and one of them is directional thrusters, engines, armor blocks. I think that's about it, and power. So yeah, we wanted to talk about power generation in the game as well. So I hope I probably won't be in that order, but we'll try to cover what we can within the limited time frame that I have. So we're going to talk about iron thrusters, or just your normal thrusters. As you can see, these iron thrusters, if we jump out and we're just turning, as you can see thrust coming from all directions in those thrusters, and they are providing us all the range of movements that we need when it comes to flying a little ship. We get a lot of great maneuverability out of these normal directional thrusters. However, they are the benefits of having all of these thrusters is that it helps with drifting, movements, and yaw and pitch. And so there's a variety of things that these thrusters provide when we're applying them to ships. So the next question is, we have our iron directional thrusters. Now our iron directional thrusters only, if you have a look, they only point in two directions. So wherever we face them, they only point in two directions, backward and forward, and however we place it. So the question you may have asked is, well, why don't we just cover our whole ship in our normal thrusters that provide thrust in all directions, instead of putting these thrusters down in different directions? And the answer is quite simple, and it has to do with thrust. See, these thrusters here, if we match these two blocks up, our directional thruster here that only has two directions for the thruster provides 3 times more thrust than a thruster that has directional thrust in all directions. So you get more power coming out of one direction than you do out of applying 3 of these down of the same block value to try and get that same thrust going sideways. So it is more economical to build a ship with more of these directional thrusters than it is a normal thruster that pushes in all directions. I hope that is clear. It's probably as clear as mud. I'll try to say that again. The difference is that a thruster like this provides more thrust at the end of the day in one direction than a directional, all-round directional thruster. So just take that as it is, and that will help you building your ships so you get more maneuverability out of specializing in a directional thruster like this, instead of an all-purpose thruster like this block. They do come in handy in the early days when you're flying a ship. When you're flying a small ship like this, they are not going to be noticeable because your ship is very light in the early stages of the game. So having a thruster with all thrust in different directions you're not going to notice a difference. You are, however, going to notice a difference when your ship gets a lot bigger. So that's when it starts to play a factor. So the further away thrusters are from the ship, the more leverage those thrusters do have on the center of mass of your ship. So it's probably clear as mud. Hopefully I've made this clear for you, and that you're able to take that forward. part I want to talk about when it comes to power generation is if we were to select P on our keyboard, this is going to be bringing out our ship. It's going to bring up all of our stats that we were going to be looking at. It's obviously got all of our stats that we've got over here in build mode. It's got a whole heap of system upgrades, and we are going to look at these systems down here. Now when it comes to understanding what we're looking at, really all you need to do is look at these two lines here, the required energy and the produced energy. So when you're building a ship, it is ideal to have at least 2/3 or 3/4 more power being produced than what is required. Now I say that because you have a slot here which is a system slot. Every time each system here that you decide to put in your ship requires power. So every time you put a system upgrade into your ship, it's going to draw power from it. And the required power will continue to climb until you've filled all your slots and you're going to know if you're going to be in a deficit or not. It's quite a beginner's mistake. When I first played the game, I didn't generate enough power. So basically when I jumped into my next sector, I was stagnant. I couldn't do anything. I was dead in the water. So you do not want to make those mistakes. If we were to say put a turret system in, a shield system, I don't know, another radar system, a jump system, and I don't know, a tractor beam. We have now effectively run out of power. As you can see, the required power to keep these systems up requires 5.82 gigawatts, and we're only producing 3.228. So if you went to try and fly the ship, we're not going anywhere. It's dead in the water. I'm trying to go anywhere. As you can see, your life support is going to run out and you're going to die eventually. And we just do not have, we're not producing enough power. Now, when looking at this, why do you need more than what? Let's say you meet this standard, right? Let's say that's producing way too much power. Let's choose a system that's a low tier system that you're probably going to start off with. So let's choose a couple of systems that are going to draw a bit of power. Say like this, we're still producing more power than what's required, but your first problem will be the minute you start boosting around. If you try to boost around, you can only boost for so long before see how it's drawing power. So if you're in a fight, you don't want to be dead in the water. Your thruster level down here, this is the power generator down the bottom here. That's how much power you're generating. So you want to be producing a lot more power, at least 3/4 or 2/3 of the required power. So you want to be producing a lot of power, because if you have to jump into a system and you are completely outgunned, if you cannot take on the target that's like the enemies in another sector, you want to make sure you've got enough power to boost away until your jump sat nav is up. So I thought I might share that with you when it comes to power generating. think it's the biggest mistake that a lot of people make when they first come into the game is not understand what's being produced and what's required. So in other words, if I keep this really simple, more power better. So an armor block adds about 4 times more durability to the structure's total hit points. So armor blocks are extremely good to have on your ship. You add a lot of strength to your ship, so putting armor blocks on your ship is quite a good idea. But you got to take into account also when it comes to armor blocks, the weight of it and how much weight it adds to a ship, because it adds quite a bit of weight to a ship. So if you were to put armor blocks at the front of your ship, let's say you decided to put armor blocks to the front of your ship like this, right? What you're doing is you're strengthening the front of the ship, which is quite good. And one reason why you do that is if you were to bump into a lot of things, it would help strengthen the front of your ship, and it adds a lot of HP and mass to the front of the ship. It also helps with rail guns. So if you put a lot of armor plating, around on your ship, it helps protect against rail guns, because rail guns are able to punch through 3 or 4 blocks depending on the railgun that gets produced or you're up against. But also it adds a lot of weight, so it means your ship is harder to stop. So armor is good. I used to put armor on all of my ships. There was nothing, I never tried to sort of hold back when it came to armor, but now I sort of put it where I think is needed. Yeah, armor blocks are one of those things that does add 4 times as much durability and to the structure and total hit points. So just keep that in mind when you're putting armor blocks on a ship, that you will be increasing its mass, its weight, and your ability to stop will be getting a lot more difficult. So yeah, so that's armor blocks in a nutshell.